you can smell that this is for a record. You can smell that this, if you want to go there, is for the setup. This is for the shakedown. Or you can say, oh no, she's just being explicit and she's just being open, and that's their relationship. But this is where I'm like, oh man.
And you're looking at Shannon, his brand has never really been anything that said he might not be into some of the things that we're learning.
Just a year ago, Shannon Sharpe was flying high. With a booming media career, viral podcast moments, and an aura of charisma that had made him both respected and beloved, few could have imagined he'd be facing the type of public scrutiny that now threatens to end everything. But in 2025, Shannon's world has unraveled, and the fallout is not just about legal accusations.
No man wants to be associated with those things that's not his intent, and that's not his heart. And so my biggest thing for him is, if these aren't actions that are of him, I hope that he's cleared of them.
Right.
And then for the young lady, if these are things that has happened to her, you hope that she's able to process that and in some way feel like she has been not only compensated, but that she has sought and found the justice that she's looking for. But it's like you said, period, it's just a bad look. Whether it's the text messages, whether it's the voice messages, whatever it is, it's a bad.
It's about a pattern of behavior, a crumbling reputation, and a brutal betrayal from someone who once stood beside him, Ryan Clark. The story broke wide when Ryan Clark, former NFL star and media personality, publicly called Shannon out, not for the specifics of the lawsuit filed by a young woman named Gabi, but for what he described as a long-standing pattern of creepy and weird behavior around women. Ryan didn't directly accuse Shannon of guilt, but his words were pointed.
I don't know. Anything I say, you're just gonna get mad at, and you're just gonna hang up on me, so I feel like...
I'm not gonna hang up on you. Here's what it is.
What does that even mean?
Nothing, Gabi. You want to be a dick to me now, so...
I don't want to be... Don't manipulate me.
Oh, no, have mercy. If you say that one more time, I'm going to choke the shit out of you when I see you.
I don't...
You know what?
Well, I don't want to be choked.
Yes, you do. I don't think you have a choice in the matter.
Well, I'm not really interested in getting choked, so I guess we're going.
Yeah, I might choke you in public. Big black guy chokes small white woman.
It's not a good look, Shannon.
Not a good look that you did what you did to me.
Okay, well...
This wasn't new behavior, and to anyone who'd known Shannon closely, it wasn't shocking. Shannon, on the other hand, was livid. His response wasn't calm or measured. It was emotional, defensive, and desperate. But his anger couldn't undo the damage. The public was already watching the scandal unfold, and Ryan's comments only added fuel to the fire.
A lot of times, people just are who they are. And you're looking at Shannon, his brand has never really been anything that said he might not be into some of the things that we're learning, right? You could go back to the IG Live, or you could listen to some of the things that he promotes as sponsors of his show, or just certain ways he talks about women during nightcap or whatever it is, right? Like, okay, never hid that. And that's not illegal.
What came next made things worse. Text messages allegedly exchanged between Shannon and Gabi were leaked, shockingly graphic, bizarre, and uncomfortable to read. The texts detailed a relationship dynamic filled with degrading sexual talk, with Shannon making disturbing requests like putting a collar around his neck or paying $25,000 per cheek. Some messages even referenced putting a big black.
Shannon has been running with the idea that all of this is a shakedown and that he didn't do anything wrong or illegal to Gabi.
This is a shakedown. I'm going to be open, transparent, and defend myself because this isn't right. This is all being orchestrated by Tony Busby, who has targeted Jay-Z. Tony Busby targets black men, and I believe he's going to release a 30-second clip of a tape that tries to make me look guilty and play into every stereotype you could possibly imagine. That video should actually be 10 minutes or so. Hey Tony, instead of releasing your edit, put the whole video out. I don't have it, or I would myself. You know what happened, and you're trying to manipulate the media. The encounter in question took place during the day at her invitation, and now that appears to be a deliberate setup, coordinated by Gabi, also known as Carly on OnlyFans. Gabi and Tony Busby want $50 million.
Baby in her, and referred to his own anatomy in ways more suited for late-night satire than real life. Even more damning was the source of the leak, Shannon's own legal team. Meant to portray Gabi as the initiator of the explicit exchanges, the move backfired. The texts didn't prove innocence. They painted Shannon as a man completely out of touch, deeply entangled in an inappropriate relationship with a woman, significantly younger than him.
For him to offer $10 million says that there might be some truth to this, because I'm not offering nobody no $10 million if I know I didn't do anything. And I think the only reason that $10 million didn't work, Killer, I want to know how you feel about this. I think the $10 million didn't work because the pimp need his cut. You know, just allegedly. I'm not saying there is a pimp, right? Let me give you. It's just an idea. This is just an idea, right? So if there's a pimp, right?
Then came the audio recordings, 2 disturbing phone conversations between Shannon and Gabi. In them, Shannon could be heard threatening her, using manipulative and aggressive language that made listeners cringe. At one point, he tells her not to manipulate him, or he'd choke the fuck out of her when they met. Gabi, audibly scared, pleads with him while he flips from sarcasm to threats in chilling fashion. This wasn't just bad PR, this was character assassination, with Shannon holding the blade himself.
Oh, we all know about the report of a $100 million deal for Shannon Sharpe and his king empire of Shay Media. Duh, made a ton of sense. But now as I look back on it, that $100 million deal was reported. And did she know that deal was happening, or she didn't know? Because on Friday it was reported, and on Sunday she filed. Now I could get a work week Monday through Friday, but then you gonna file on a Sunday? What happened between Friday and Sunday?
Ryan Clark doubled down, noting that Shannon's behavior shouldn't be surprising to anyone who's paid attention to him over the years. He pointed to past comments Shannon made on social media, on his podcast Nightcap, and in interviews. The way Shannon talked about women, especially black women, had always been problematic, and the public was now looking back, connecting the dots they had once ignored. A particularly damning moment resurfaced from Shannon's past, an old tweet where he mocked a black woman criticizing him for favoring white WNBA players, namely Caitlin Clark. "Don't you have another horse to rob of his hair?" he wrote. Many now see that tweet not just as shade, but as a window into his dismissive, antagonistic attitude toward black women in general.
Could either be A,
old
cover,
drama from
let's
Shannon's
inflate his
undisputed days
worth
at FS1
before
came to light.
this hits. We
Sources
know it's going
revealed
to hit.
he had been accused of
Negotiations have
choking a
broken down
female
the settlement.
production assistant.
Or
The
B,
incident was
which
allegedly
is
set up
worse,
privately for
probably,
hundreds of thousands of dollars,
someone with
and no
knowledge
formal
of these
lawsuit was ever filed.
negotiations
At the time, Fox worked
and
with
the
Shannon's
settlement
team to bury the
offers
incident and protect
leaked
both
it
his
to the
reputation
public
and their
to
brand.
blow up
And then Michelle's
Shannon
story
Sharpe's
resurfaced.
potential deal.
Shannon's
Someone
ex-girlfriend
knew
had filed a
that he
lawsuit
was in line for $100 million and leaked it to blow up the
claims.
negotiations and the
According to
settlement,
her,
the
their
mediation,
decade-long relationship
and
ended
to
after Shannon
deflate
cheated.
his
When she
value.
confronted him,
So now
he
you're not going to
allegedly
get
turned
$100 million
violent,
because all this is
forcing her
going to
to
hit the
perform sex
fan.
acts
Maybe
and
one of the
assaulting her while
suitors
making
did
deeply
that,
disturbing
or
remarks
someone
about
close
ruining
to
her
Shannon
for other
Sharpe.
men.
So I just
Michelle
wanted to
later
set
sought a
that up. That's
restraining
just
order
setting
and
up the
sued him for
tone.
defamation. after Shannon allegedly mocked and doxed her on his platforms, allowing fans to harass her online. Michelle now stands in solidarity with Gabi, claiming Shannon has a pattern of abuse and manipulation, especially when it comes to controlling the narrative around women he's dated. And while Shannon's legal team issued sharp denials, calling Michelle's claims blatant misrepresentation, and Gabi's lawsuit a shakedown, more troubling details emerged. Behind the scenes, Shannon had allegedly been trying to settle with Gabi long before she filed. He reportedly offered her $10 million during mediation to avoid a public case. Many questioned, why offer such a massive sum if you're innocent? Mace, one of the commentators following the scandal, put it bluntly, "I'm not offering nobody $10 million if I know I didn't do anything." Others speculated that Shannon's desperation to settle meant he feared what might come out in court and how it could affect his empire, and that's when another twist dropped. Just days before Gabi filed her lawsuit, it was reported that Shannon was in talks for a $100 million deal tied to his Shay Shay Media brand. The timing raised eyebrows. Marcellus Wiley, another media insider, speculated that the lawsuit was timed to sabotage the deal, or alternatively, that Shannon's team leaked news of the deal to make Gabi's lawsuit look like a cash grab. Regardless of who leaked what, the result was chaos. The public was torn between the image of Shannon as a wealthy media star being extorted, and Shannon as a predatory figure finally being held accountable. And amid the debate, Shannon's professional future began to crumble. ESPN, his employer, allegedly forced him to take a break. Insiders whispered that he may never return. Even Disney, the parent company of ESPN, was reportedly distancing itself, worried that his name might start to weigh on their brand value. Shannon had gone from media darling to liability. Desperate for damage control, Shannon ramped up his public defense. He claimed he was being targeted by Tony Busby, the attorney behind Gabi's lawsuit, whom he accused of waging war against prominent black men like Jay-Z. Shannon insisted that the entire encounter was consensual, that Gabi had invited him, and that she and Busby were working together to destroy him for a payday. His legal team issued a formal statement reiterating that the lawsuit was a cynical attempt to shake down Mr. Sharpe for millions of dollars, filled with lies and distortions, and that Shannon was ready to fight for his name in court. But the court of public opinion is harder to win. Whispers began to surface that Shannon was once again trying to renegotiate with Gabi, this time from a position of weakness. After all the backlash, leaks, and bad press, he knew how damaging a trial could be, not just to his finances, but to the last remnants of his reputation. In just a matter of months, Shannon Sharpe's legacy has shifted from that of a sharp-tongued analyst and charismatic entertainer to a figure embroiled in scandal, questionable behavior, and legal warfare. Whether he can claw his way back remains to be seen. But for now, as the headlines stack up and his allies grow silent, it looks less like a comeback story and more like a slow fall from grace.